colours? Do they match my eyes?
Commander Claire Rayner. What am I saying, Claire Rayner? Claire Rayner's an agony aunt. That's hilarious. That's like a riding hat.
No, you look like Robin Hood.
It's a new style.
What's an agony aunt?
That's someone who you write to if you're upset about something and you want some help. And it disappeared around 1600. It's big,
What are you doing?
What I love, right, about knitting den emperor, the Sith
Right.
lord of knitting is Stephen West.
Stephen West.
And his henchman, Darth Vader, we know, is Josh Riggs.
Oh, well, it's
Yes. It's a great new trend, I think.
Welcome to Bakery Bears episode 27.
Are we a podcast? I think so.
Bakery Bears podcast episode 27. And we are here at Markenfield Hall.
Question.
Tell me what you think about this.
We're not at Markenfield Hall. Where are we? Bryony, where are we?
Francis Abbey.
Well done. I thought you were going to say I don't know.
Why did you get me to say that when I...
Because that's what everyone's expecting us to be. We're supposed to be at Markenfield Hall, but Markenfield Hall is small but perfectly formed, so we decided we would start on the hunt for a lost stately home. Now, when did we come here? Was it about episode 6? 6 or 7?
Probably.
Yeah, so it's quite some time ago that we came here and we were all over there. We're going to do a little bit of filming over there in a minute. What we're going to be doing today, though, is we're going to be all over in that direction, looking at a church, at a great house, and then looking for a lost stately home. So let's go and have a look at the church to start with, I think. Welcome to Favourite Places to Knit, episode 27. We're on the hunt for a lost stately home, and because of the wonders of lapel mics, hopefully we should have a lot less wind noise, and you've been able to hear me as we've done this long pan-in shot, which is really cool. Now, you're getting a little extra this episode. Because Markenfield Hall is small, but beautifully formed, we've decided to start our favourite places to knit at a place we've already visited, except we haven't. We visited all the way over there, which is Fountains Abbey. And in all the years that I've visited Fountains Abbey, I've never come to this part, and I've been coming my whole life. So nearly 40 years I've been coming here. And today we find ourselves here. Now, this church was built in 1870 by the Marquis of Ripon. Now, he and his wife absolutely loved, as did all Victorians, to build churches. And unfortunately, their nephew, he got kidnapped by Greek bandits. Now, they tried to raise money to pay his ransom and to get him back, but unfortunately they didn't raise it in time and the Greek bandits killed him. So they used the money to build this church in his memory. So here we are, looking for a lost stately home, but let's start out having an explore of this rather gorgeous church.
This is the window just above the altar within the choir at St Mary's Church. Now, St Mary's was built by William Burgess, who was a world-famous Victorian architect. He brought back the use of beautiful stained glass windows, very much as they'd done in medieval times, and he was obsessed with medieval architecture. Now, Burgess had done work all over the world and had even been hired to come out to Connecticut, Hartford in Connecticut, by Abner Jackson to build an absolutely stunning building for the college that he was running there. Unfortunately, the cost of it was absolutely millions, and they just couldn't afford it. And when you go in here, you can see just how utterly gorgeous this is. Now, it has no power at all, so it's only open for a few months a year, because otherwise you just can't see anything because it's quite dark in there. That's why some of these colours don't come across as well as they do to the naked eye. The floor there as well, it's sort of Romanesque. You would not believe that this was built in 1870. Now, it was built in 1870 to honour Frederick Weiner, who'd been on holiday in Greece. At that time, in the 1800s, it was dangerous going on holiday in a number of countries, but specifically in Greece, there was a high probability that you may well get kidnapped and held to ransom. It happened an awful lot, but everything always worked out fine because people inevitably paid the ransom and people got released. In Frederick's case, that didn't happen. Unfortunately, they raised the money, they were going to pay it, but he ended up getting killed. So the family were left with a substantial amount of money, and they wanted to honour him, so they built this church, and it is utterly stunning. And, you know, embarrassingly, I've never been in there before, and I've been going there so many years. This is just beautiful. It's the organ there on the left, and then that just goes up above the organ to the pipes, and just so pretty. But that is the view that I will remember forever in St Mary's Church.
What do you think of that, Bea?
I loved it in there. It's pretty.
Isn't it pretty? So,
Wait.
this church, this was used for services, Bryony, up until 1970. But in 1970 it was unconsecrated and services stopped here. And then it was actually taken over, first of all, by English Heritage,
I know when
and
it
then
was
by
built.
National Trust. When was it built?
1872.
Yeah, there you go. That's brilliant. So the people who built this, the Marquis and his wife of Ripon, they were called Frederick and Constance. And Constance, she died in 1917. And Frederick survived her by 6 years. And he was an amazing shot, supposedly. He liked to shoot pheasants. He would go and shoot on the estate. And supposedly he was one of the best shots in the whole of the country. He died 6 years after Constance, and then the estate in 1923 was actually inherited by their nephew. So in 1923, Claire Weiner and his wife, I think his wife was called Doris or Deirdre, took over the estate. That's the church. Let's go find the house. This is the chorister's house. It was built in 1873 by William Burgess, who built the church that we've just looked at. It was built to provide choristers for the church. So you would enroll your children in this school. They would come here, they would learn all about music and all the other subjects as well, of course, but then they would go and they would sing in the church. Absolutely stunning building, and you can actually come and stay here, you can rent it. It sleeps 10, but it's not massively expensive, we found out. So I think Kay's already eyeing it up for a Christmas visit. this should look familiar. I can't remember the episode, but I was down like this and I said, welcome to the Baker Bears podcast. Well, we're back. And what we're looking at today is everything that way. Fountains Abbey's over that way, which you visited and you know all about. But over here, what we see the water feature that was built by the Aislabys. Now, anyone who came to visit Studley Royal House could then come down to Studley Royal Gardens, go for a walk through here, see all the amazing things. And they built those two buildings either side to give it a real special feel and look. And if you just pan around and look down there, you get to see the amazing water feature. It's absolutely stunning. And if you look just down there, there's Kay and Bryony.
In 1718, John Aislaby, the owner of Studley Royal House, wanted to create these beautiful gardens, basically to show off to his friends. They'd come and visit him at his stunning house, and then they would come down here and look at his gardens. Now, how had they got hold of the house? They'd married into the Mallory family, and the Mallorys were the original lords of Studley Royal, and built the first house there round about 1400.
So, I've made it. I have found the lost country house. Now, the amazing thing is what you see in the background there is not the country house. That's the stables to the country house. The country house itself laid over in this area. And unfortunately, I'll throw up a picture now so you can see what it looks like. It's gone. It went in 1946. It was struck by fire, and unfortunately the damage was so great they decided to pull it down. They left the stable block, and I'll try and get some better pictures of the stable block for you now so you can see it, because the stable block is absolutely stunning. And the amazing thing is, in a past life when Kay and I used to be in banking, she actually came to visit this house once, and I drove her up, and it was, it was amazing. You're like, whoa, hold on a minute. It's like another world. It feels like another world now, because just over there, I'll get some shots, I'll throw them up for you in a second. There are deer, and they're literally there. I could run at them and they'd scatter. They're absolutely amazing. Anyway, this is Studley Royal House, and this was the house that governed the manor that was Studley Magna. Now, Studley Magna was a village which lay all over this park. I've changed angle because hopefully you can see the deer back there now, which is amazing. So, the house, Studley Royal House, which was sat just over there, it burnt down. They kept the stable block, which became a private house, and the family that lived there, the Viners, they moved over to Fountains Hall, which is part of Fountains Abbey. Now, the manor house there, as I said a moment ago, it looked after the village of Studley Magna. Studley Magna disappeared in 1600. People just moved away and stopped living here. But the manor house stayed. So what an absolutely stunning place. And so sad that that house has gone, but also it's quite cool to, after so many years of being coming here, to come and find out what the history was of this place, because I never knew. So it's been a real interesting journey for me, and I hope so for you guys too.
Well, that was a surprise.
Was it?
Well, yes. I didn't anticipate being in Fountains Abbey.
No.
And all the years that we lived so close, and we never ever went to any of those bits.
Did we not?
We never went to the church.
No, we never went to the
Never
church.
got near to the chorister's house before.
No.
Yes, we did go to that fella's house when you were...
Yes.
But I never realised at that time that Studley Royal House was literally, a stone's throw from there.
I didn't even know there was a house there.
No, I didn't. And I think I was talking to my mum the other day, and I was, we were reminiscing about old times when we used to go there when we were kids, and she had no idea as well. And it's so sad, really,
because and as well, the other thing that you maybe don't know is that Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and King George used to go there loads.
Ah,
They were like
back to the house.
Yeah.
Right.
They were best buddies with the Viners and not the Rainers, as I accidentally called
Claire
them.
Rayner.
And they used to go there and they used to play tennis on the front lawn. They had a tennis court out on the
Right.
front lawn. It was, and there's a picture which I'll have already shown actually in the film of the Queen Mother walking through the cloister at Fountains, through that walkway that you come through when you've come through the dark bit.
Yeah.
It's just so she was so great, wasn't she? Cool. The Queen Mother.
Yeah, she was lovely.
She was just the sweetest lady, and I loved the fact that she loved the Gigis.
Oh, she did, yeah.
She loved
Queen
a bet.
does as well, though.
Well, she must have been brought up
Yeah,
exactly the same way.
yeah.
I do think it's interesting as well how similar they are. I do think that as she gets older, she becomes more and more like her
And
mum.
the Queen likes a gin and tonic of an afternoon, doesn't she? I
Well.
can't blame her for that, although I don't like gin, but can't blame her.
At Markenfield Hall, our promised visit will come later in the show. Markenfield is lovely.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I think you're only there for an hour really, and they do say in the leaflet that it's an hour to an hour and a half at the most because they only have 4 rooms open and it's not very big. But that for me was kind of I liked that because you get everything crammed into just an hour and a half, and I really like. You didn't get bored. I think it's not.
What was also super cool was we realised after we left that the lady who greeted us at the door and the gentleman who took our money and sold us our booklet were the owners.
They were the people that lived there because there was a picture of them in the booklet that we bought.
That's just
yeah.
brilliant, and they were really lovely. They were both lovely.
Super sweet, and
She was lovely in the door. She's like, I thought, she's clearly just a keen volunteer.
Yeah.
No, she's Lady Grantley of
Yeah, and
Markenfield. Amazing.
She's now married.
Ian Curtis, she's married, who is a playwright.
He's a playwright, and he wrote. If you watched years and years ago, there was a program called the Oneidian Line. Am I saying that
It's the
right?
70s.
Oneidian Line about ships and things. My mum used to watch it. I remember it being on the telly, and he wrote it.
I recall.
It was very well watched at the time.
Yeah.
It was now to be sort of cultish. I think that sort of program.
I remember a programme on the telly with someone like Stephanie Beecham or someone like that, and it was set on a ferry that was...
Oh, it was terrible.
Yes, so terrible, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
We've got to find out what it was. Someone must know.
Yeah.
Someone tell us what the programme was, because I remember the opening, and it looked like a North Sea Channel ferry crossing.
It was like a North Sea ferry,
Right.
I think.
Okay.
I don't think it was a glamorous ferry.
I want to watch this now. I want to buy the box set.
We'll find out and get Dan to put it across the screen or something.
I think it's time to find out. Kay Jones, what's on your needles?
I've got lots and lots.
So do I.
So, do you?
What have you done to me?
Have you got lots and lots?
I recall within the last 6 or 7 episodes, I made some great big speech about the importance of being, focusing on one project because you get it finished quick.
Well,
And
that's
now,
gone out the window, hasn't it?
Totally out the window. It's gone. It's gone. So what is on your needles?
Well, first thing is a pair of socks, and I showed these last time, but I've since finished the first one. So here's the first one. It's the Uncommon Thread socks that I've shown a couple of times, but I have finished this one now. And I actually, if you remember, I was doing this one on Magic Loop, and I said at the time I was going to carry on finishing this one on Magic Loop and then do the other one on DPNs because I've kind of fallen in love with DPNs all over again. I didn't do that. I actually switched to DPNs on this and finished it. It seemed to just knit itself once I got it on DPNs. It was absolutely mad. So from about here down to the toe, I switched, and I don't think you can really tell. I've looked at the stitches here. I'll hold it a little bit closer. I don't think you can really tell. I don't think there's a marked difference at all. So I finished the one, And I've cast on the other one. I'm just on the ribbing, and I'm doing a 1x1 twisted rib, which is, as we know, is Dan's favourite. I've got yarn everywhere. Let me just untangle those from all my needles. And I'm using Carbon's DPNs, 2.25 on these ones. I normally knit my socks, and I've been having lots of talks with myself lately about this, on the size of needle.
Literally, it's been worrying me. I'll come into the kitchen and she'll be chatting away.
Oh, what size needle do I use? I've knit socks for myself on both 2.25s and 2.5s. Sometimes when I knit on 2.5 mils, they come out a little bit too big. Sometimes they fit absolutely perfectly. And then I've knit socks, so I've thought, right, okay, I'll switch to 2.25, and then sometimes they've been a bit small. So I think it's just down to the yarn, to be honest. You know, some knits up, you know, it's a heavier yarn or whatever. These ones I've always knit, this uncommon thread, this tough sock. These ones I've always knit on 2.25s, and they always fit me perfectly. And I think it is, looking at the weight of the yarn, I would say it's on the heavy side for a fingering. So maybe that's why they fit me. You know, I think I've just found the perfect combination with this particular yarn and those size needles. But another pair that I've just finished, I knit on 2.5s, and they're okay. I don't mind socks being a tiny bit loose. I'm like my friend Sally, she likes socks to have that bit of wiggle room, and I know some people like them to have quite a lot of negative ease. I'm more that I like them, you know, to have that little bit of room on my foot. I would rather have that than be too tight. So I'm loving these. I haven't done too much on this one because I've been knitting on 25 other things, as you'll see. Maybe not 25, maybe 24. But, you know, it's a lovely knit, and I have washed and blocked these. I've washed them, and this is obviously on a blocker. But you can see the twisted rib has straightened up. I don't think it's really leaning as it does when it does have a tendency to lean. So yeah, and the colourway is Into Dust for these ones, which is a beautiful kind of lilac-y, really pretty. And the pattern I just made up, it's like a skinnier version of the blueberry waffle socks. It's a knit one purl one instead of a knit two purl two, just for a change really. So that's those, and they are in my lovely bag, which I've showed several times before, but I just love this bag. And I think she's still got these kits in the shop. I looked the other day and she still had some kits if you want to go and get one. So, and that's that one.
Have you ever had blueberry waffles? Have you ever had a sweet waffle?
A sweet waffle?
Well,
I've never had waffles.
You've had bird's eye potato waffles.
Well, I don't know. Is that the same thing as a waffle?
No. No, waffle is a batter poured into a...
So a waffle is like a pancake batter?
Ish.
Is that right?
No, it's a lot firmer.
Right. But it's not like a potato waffle?
It is not.
I've never had either of those things.
I personally would not advise you take a bird's eye potato waffle, cover it in blueberries and spray it with cream.
Well, I haven't had a waffle. I've never had a waffle.
Although
pancakes, blueberry pancakes.
You could totally see why someone would end up doing that, because they just think, well, a waffle is a bit over here. You talk to people about waffles and they think potato waffles.
They think bird's eye frozen potato waffles. That's what I would think. We don't really eat waffles.
Whilst they're waffly versatile, I don't...
That's what I got in my head as well.
I don't think Can you still get them?
Yes.
Oh, you see, I want to go in the shop now and look at them. I'm not going to buy them because I can't really say I like them. I can't imagine that you would like them. Although, shall I tell you...
I like smiley faces.
They're exactly like smiley faces.
Well, you know, I don't mind. Bryony likes smiley faces, and I've had the odd one. They're okay.
And
I want to try a proper waffle now, like an American waffle.
Yeah.
So you have to get a waffle maker, don't you?
Yeah.
Is that right?
You can buy them. I have seen them in the odd place. I'd love to know, though, actually, from our friends over in the States, if when you go to the shops and you buy them, do they taste totally different to the ones that you make at home? And should we just not even go there with the bought ones?
I'm guessing it's like anything. Stuff that you buy generally has preservatives in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To give them a longer shelf life. But stuff like that, if it's like, I mean, I make pancakes fairly, well, I've not made them for a while, but I make the thick American style pancakes quite often for breakfast. And they don't take long to make at all. I'd never buy them.
No.
But I know people do, and I'm guessing they don't taste maybe the same.
As I recall, the waffle had a fairly crisp outside.
Yeah, and that's because you make them in a maker, don't you?
Yeah.
Like toasty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got a crisp outside. It's sweet, even without
Right.
anything on it. The one that I had,
Right.
and also there was no holes.
No, it's like a grid, isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah, I know what they look like.
Yeah.
I've just never had one.
I totally
Kind of want one now.
Yeah, so do I.
Kind of want one with like bananas and a bit of golden syrup. We don't really do maple syrup over here. You can get it. Dan Jones.
Yes.
What's on your needle?
Well, it is a lovely blue tit.
And I've also got a blue tit over there. I have. I shall show you later.
It's great. It's really, really great. It's such a nice yarn to knit with because as you knit, you see it's the plumage of a blue tit is appearing before my very eyes.
You've not even got to the blue yet, have you?
No, not really. I've just
No.
got the yellow and the green and a bit of the.
It's like grey and
Yeah,
yellow and green.
yeah.
If you hold it up, you can see it. Not even got to the kind of bluey bit.
It's just and lovely as well to work with. I find it's not splitty at all, and I just enjoy. As you know, I'm a lover of handspun, and the way it sort of feels in my hand and the way it's working up, it's slightly reminiscent of a handspun
right.
for me. Just the way it's working.
It's probably the variation in it that's making you think of that.
So I've not really knit a lot on this for a reason which I'll show you in another of my current projects, because I was desperately trying to start and finish a project, but I didn't start it until relatively recently.
No, you've only just started it, really.
Yeah. But I've really lapped into it, which is good. So yeah, and the reason why I mentioned that other project was I've been desperate to knit on these, but I've been wanting to knit on the other project. It's the first time.
Now you're a real knitter.
Oh, you see, it's happening. It's happening. It's only taken over a year, but I've been desperate to get onto these. But then I'm also now desperate to knit on a third project, which I'll show you in a minute. It's like,
no, this is my entire life.
What do I do now?
In fact, this is the entire life of all knitters, I think, isn't it? That
Yes.
you're knitting on one thing and you've got guilt because you want to be knitting on the other thing, and
I don't think for me. I don't think it doesn't feel like guilt. It's
No,
like the
not-
most intense frustration
yeah,
ever.
guilt's probably the wrong word, but you want to be knitting on the other thing as well.
So yeah, I would strongly recommend this WYS Blue Tit yarn. It is extremely nice to knit with. The pattern is your made-up sock pattern,
Yeah, it's the one that I did for the tutorial, isn't it?
and I'm
You
on a serious rib, which I'm about to move
I
on
just
to
had to
right
stop
now.
him. I'm like, that's enough for him.
Stop ribbing! Kay Jones, what else is on your needles?
Well, I failed in my mission to finish this. I was knitting like a woman possessed to try and get this finished. But in the end, I gave up. I'm like, I'm not going to get this done. Just stop putting pressure on yourself because it's ridiculous. Nobody's going to come after me, are they? Because I haven't quite finished a project.
Wouldn't it be great though if there was like a special police force
Not really.
that did exactly that?
It's just knitting, isn't it?
But you see, that downs the amazingness of it.
Well, it does,
It's more than just
but
knitting. This is art.
the other thing, if you're rushing, you're not enjoying it as much, are
No.
you? And I certainly wasn't. And I just, a couple of days ago, I'm like, right, I am not going to get this done for the podcast. Just stop stressing about it and enjoy it, So I've slowed down on it. But this is another one it's the second one. I think I had a little bit cast on last time, didn't I? Of my new pattern, which is out now. I'll show you the finished one. I brought that down. I did show it last time. It's the sock knitter shawl. So there's the one that I showed last time that's on the pattern.
Oh, it smells nice.
Just smells woolly to me. It just smells like wool.
I like that.
Yeah, because I washed it in Eucalan, but it doesn't have any scent, and I made the mistake actually. I went in and just got a little bottle from my local yarn shop, and it's an unscented one, and I'm like, oh, because I do like a bit of a scent. So this just smells like wool, which is fine, you know. So that's the one that's on the pattern, and I wanted to do another one in another one of the opal yarns, and this one is, it's the Opal Rainforest 9, and nobody told us what that bird was, did they?
That's shocking.
I'll hold it up. There's the bird.
Who might
Can you
know?
see it?
Hold on.
Would
Darren and Amy should know.
Well, it's a tropical bird, isn't it? A rainforesty bird. I don't
But
know
they're
if they would or
twitchers.
not. They are.
Is that an expression that's used worldwide?
I don't know, but you know, over here, if you love birds, you're a twitcher. I think it probably is. So this colourway is Lucy the Pianist, and its colourway is number 7471. And I'm this far in. I'll just hold it up so you can see. It's all sort of scrunched up on the needles. I think I've got like 3 more bands to do, garter, stocking stitch, garter, and then I'll be on the border. So I've not got a million miles to go, but you know, there's quite a lot of stitches on the needle now, so each row does take, you know, a good 5 minutes to do a row.
It's lucky you enjoy doing long rows.
And then, well, I was telling Dan this the other day, you know, I don't know who else. I don't think any of us enjoy when it gets really long rows, do we? You know, because you sit down and to do a few rows, don't you? And sometimes it might just be 2 rows when they're really, really long. Or even, I was watching Danny from Little Bobbins yesterday, and she's knitting a Pebble Beach lace weight shawlette, or shawl it is really, it's a big one. And she's now got that many stitches on the needle, she can just do 1 row a night, because, you know, there's that many. I think there must be 500 stitches on the needle or something. But I've got, for the border for this one, I've went through my stash, and I've got this one which was gifted to me last year. So I'm going to use that. I don't know if you can see, it picks up that darker grey that's in there, and I quite like those tweedy flecks as well. I really didn't want to have to order another yarn to use as the border. I thought I must have something that I can use, and I remembered I'd got that. And it's lovely yarn. It's the Knit Picks Stroll Tweed in Flagstone Heather. Really, really pretty. So I thought that would go quite well, so that's what I'm going to do. So that will be finished for next time. But like I say, the pattern's out, and thank you so much everybody who went out and bought it, you know, straight away. And I think there's about 17, 18 projects on there already. The yarns are all lovely. It's really nice to see all the different yarns that people are using for it. It's fantastic. So thank you all so much. And thank you to my test knitters as well, who all knit it like at speed of sound, which was fantastic, which allowed me to get it out in time for the knit along. So I was thrilled that I could do that. And that one, I'm using one of my Christmas bags. Look. Christmas sausage dogs from Denise.
And there's a cat on there.
Yeah, I got this last year from Denise Knitting Den, and I love it, and Bryony loves this fabric. I must try and get some. Denise, if you're watching, tell me where did you get this fabric, because I love it.
Knitting Den's just the best.
I love Denise. She's coming over soon, it's not long.
Has she got her passports?
She has.
Well, that's lucky.
She has indeed.
I don't have a passport.
Yours has expired.
Yes.
I don't know if Bryony's has expired, yours has expired, mine is okay, I think.
Can you imagine if Bryony turned up though with the passport she's got?
It's a baby picture,
hello?
isn't it?
No, I don't think so.
We don't go abroad, do we, at the minute, so there's no point in paying to renew it, so...
You don't like going more than a couple of hours from home, really?
Well, not at the moment, no. I'm not travelling well right now. So that's that one.
Like a fine wine, you're better kept nearest
In
its own.
storage.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a darkened room, in a darkened cellar.
That kind of appeals to me at the moment, actually.
So what else is on my needles? I hear you
Else is
cry.
on your needles?
I could hear you all shouting. I don't think in the history of this podcast, that in the history of me knitting, have I started a project and got so far through it in such a short amount of time.
No, you've done super well with that one.
It is. Well, of course, you all know. I didn't even need to hold it up. And of course you would know what it is. It is... Yes, you guessed it. It's another Bankhead hat.
It is.
And this is Dreams in Fibre
Yeah.
dyed yarn.
It's lovely. Erica's yarn, Erica Luder.
It was given as a gift to Kay last year, and I sent her a message to ask
Yeah.
if she'd mind if I knitted it up, because a good knitty friend of ours thought she wasn't very well, but actually it looks like she is.
Yeah.
But as soon as I heard that she wasn't very well, I wanted to make her a bankhead. I was going to make her a handbrake, but she's cast one on herself, I think.
She said she was going to, yeah.
So
I don't know if she has.
there was absolutely no point in her having two.
No.
So perfect to have the power
It's looking beautiful, actually, that yarn.
of the bankhead. It is.
Well, it is superwash. It's superwash merino worsted weight. And I think the colourway, was it evergreen? Is that right? Or
Makes me think of Barbara Streisand.
it was something like that.
That would be a good name for it.
I think it was that. But it's beautifully tonal and just so it's absolutely gorgeous.
The twisted rib looks great.
It does.
After doing the twisted rib on this, it made me think that I'll do that on some other projects when I would normally just do a normal rib. So I cast something else on
Did
that
you?
has a twisted rib, but I'm not very far through that yet. So we'll see that later on anyway on another project. Does she do lots of yarn, Erica?
She does.
And she sells it in her shop?
And guess what? I saw that I think her Etsy shop is Hanloney79, is that right? I think that's right. But she showed some mini skeins the other day. She was making up mini skeins for the Stockinette Zombies retreat, which I think is now. I think it's round
People
about
have
now.
been flying.
Yeah, I think it's round about now. And I said, oh, Erica, are you going to put any mini skeins in your shop? Because I would be all over that, from a blanket. So she messaged me back and she's like, oh, I'll make you some up if you want. And she told me some of the colourways that she's done, and she did a little set of 12 mini skeins, which were Outlander colourways. And I said, oh, as much as we've spoken about
We
Outlander,
love Outlander, so we've got to get this.
Well, as much as we spoke about it last time, I do still love the concept of it and the feeling of it and the setting and all that kind of stuff I loved. So she sent me a picture of them. I said, oh yes, I want those. Can I have them? So I did purchase, and they're on their way.
Cool.
So they will be going into my blanket. I'm very
Cool.
excited. They were all the colours were like sort of blues and greens and browns, all those kind of, the Scottish mountainy sort of colours, and really beautiful.
So what else is on your needles?
Well, it's another. Oh, I'm dropping my DPN. Let me pop it in there to keep it safe. It's another pair of socks. Our 2 knit-alongs started on Sunday just gone, didn't they? On the 21st. Yay! So we've got 2 knit-alongs going on. We've got the favourite colour knit-along for our patrons, and we've got the Brit-along. I don't know, I can forget that. So on Sunday, we thought, right, we'll cast something on, to join in with everybody. And I'd recently got this yarn. I showed it on the last podcast. And I'm using my popper bag, which I sent one out to someone. I'm sure she won't mind me saying. To Sarah. I'll just say Sarah. I won't say your other name. To try last week, and she said it worked really well. Didn't have any problems with it. So I'm going to be making some of these popper bags, I think, for the shop. It won't be this next week, because I'm doing some bags this week for our patrons. But maybe in a couple of weeks' time I'll get some of these in the shop with the poppers. But it works really well. I've not had any problems at all with it, so...
Oh, that's lovely.
I know, I made this up.
Wow.
I made that up, isn't that pretty?
That's really pretty.
I
How do you
know.
do that?
Well, I shall tell you.
Okay.
Were you going to say something then?
Nothing important.
So I cast on these socks last night in the yarn that I showed last time, which is the fondant fibre. This actually qualifies for both of the knit-alongs because it's a British yarn and it's also my favourite colour. And the sock design I've just made up, so I'm British. So here's the yarn, is the fondant fibre. It's called Spangle. Oh, Spangle Gold. I mean, really, how can you resist a yarn with a name like Spangle? Can you remember Spangles?
Yes.
I used to love Spangles. They
Yes.
don't make them anymore. Spangles were a sweet, like a hard-boiled sweet. And they came in a tube, not a tube, a packet. They were square, weren't they? But then, like, the middle bit went down. in the middle, didn't
Yeah.
it? Oh, I used to love spangles, all fruity flavours. But this is Spangle Gold. It's superwash merino and nylon with stellina, and the stellina is gold, no less. And the colourway is vintage tulle. I can't say that word. Vintage tulle. Tulle?
Tulle?
Like on a...
Thule.
It's not Thule. Sam, Kermit Van Frog, she will know how you pronounce that because no doubt she's worn quite a lot of that in her dancing days.
Right.
It's that colourway.
Thule.
You can see the colour. It's just this beautiful, soft, blush pink. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's much prettier. I'm just looking down at the screen now. It's actually much prettier than it's showing up. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I've cast on socks. And here's how far I've got. Again, I'm knitting on DPNs. This time I'm on Knit Pro Symphonies or Harmonies in the States. And that's my sock so far. Can you see there's like a little texture pattern on there? What I'm doing, I was just thinking about it last night when I was knitting the rib. I thought, shall I do some Hermione's? I was going to do some Hermione's, and then I thought, shall I do blueberry waffles? I thought, right, I've done 2 pairs of those really recently. And then I just thought, oh, do you know what I'm going to try? I like a sock, when it's a textured sock, I like the repeat to be 4 rows long. I think I've said that before. Because I just find that number works really well with how many repeats I do for the leg and how many repeats I need to get to the toe. I know exactly where I am. And I think it goes quicker. For me, it goes quicker because I just think, right, I'll just do another repeat and then I'll go to bed or whatever. It does smell really nice.
It smells different when it's knitted up.
Yeah.
That's what
It's Deb's yarn again, and Deb, I don't know what you wash it in.
Smell this thing.
It's kind of the same, just not as concentrated. Because that's in a cake.
I think that's more sweet and floral.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, it smells lovely. Yeah, so I like when it's a 4 row repeat. I just find it just goes super quick for me. I just really like that. So on this one, what I decided to do, I am knitting 3 rows, and then on the 4th row, I'm doing a knit 2, purl 2. So that's one little 4 row repeat. And then on the next one, I will knit 3 rows, but then I'll alternate it, I'll offset it. So I will purl 2, knit 2. So you get like a little offset. I'll hold it up so you can see. Can you see the texture? I think it's really nice. Really pretty. I didn't want anything to overpower the yarn on this one because I just think it's so beautiful. I nearly did just a plain stocking stitch sock.
I think that's a lot nicer.
But yeah, in the end I thought, oh, I'm going to try that. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So if you want, feel free to copy me if you like it. You know, I don't even know if it is a stitch in any of the Stitch Direct dictionaries or anything. I just made it up. So again, I did 3 row. I suppose in effect it's an 8 row pattern repeat, isn't it? Because the purl bumps are offset. But I knit 3 rows and then knit 2, purl 2 on the 4th row, knit 3 rows and then purl 2, knit 2. So it's just offset. It does mean that on that purl 2, knit 2 row, you have to start with a purl, which is never the most comfortable thing to do, I think, especially on DPNs, but it's only that one round, you know, every 8 rows, so it's really not going to bother me. So I love that, and I only started that last night, and that's normally I wouldn't get that much done in, maybe 8:30 through till 10 o'clock, but yeah, I love it, and the yarn's beautiful. There is nothing I don't like about this project, can I just tell you?
That's always a good project.
And I've already, before I started this, I knit this yarn into my sock yarn blanket for I'm doing the row. If you remember last time I said I was going to do a whole row of British yarns, and I've resisted knitting on it all this time, from last time up until the 21st, because I didn't want to do it, you know, until the start of the knit-along. So it's got this pink one at the start of my Brit-along row, and it might have another one as well before the end. So that's that one, and I'm doing this one on 2.5s. Do you know what I said before? My waffling about needle sizes, and it looks okay. And look at those 2 colours together. Oh my goodness. Look, can you see that? Oh. I mean, this is not a lot of people's cup of tea, I know, these pastel colours. Looks like I've got 2 big eyes, doesn't it? One big and the other. I just love these colours together. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. I might have to put that colour next on my blanket. I'm going to do that tonight because I've got a little mini of this. Those two, oh yeah.
You done?
Pink and purple heaven, yes.
You mentioned your patrons bag update.
Yes.
There might be some patrons who don't know about this.
Right.
So any $5 or more patron,
Yeah.
that is you're putting it on the Facebook group, aren't you? That's how you're.
Yes.
So on the if you're a $5 or more patron, you get invited to and access to the Bakery Bears private secret forum. And
it's super fun on there, isn't it?
Yes.
So much chatter going
Yes.
on. It's fantastic.
you are going to on the.
I'm doing on the 25th of every month, so it's Thursday. This week, it's Thursday. I'll put up a picture of the bags that I've sewn up, and if you want one of them, then just comment underneath it, and I'll just take the first 6 or however many bags there are people, and I'll put them up in the Etsy shop reserved for each of those people. So I know normally I don't do custom orders, as you know, because I do get a lot of requests for custom orders, and if I accepted them, then I would never get bags in the shop for a normal update, and I don't want to do that really, and I do kind of enjoy it more knowing that I'm sewing up a batch that are just going to go in the shop. I do get more enjoyment out of that.
So for the $5 or more patrons,
yeah,
the update's on the 25th.
So I'll put pictures up in the Facebook group. This time there'll be 4 of those sock bags, and I've added in a couple of iPhone covers as well.
BB Phone Homes.
BB Phone Homes. Sorry, yes, it's a phone home. And this is something I made up. I don't think I had this on the last podcast, did I?
No, and it's not just an iPhone case. Other phones will fit in it as well.
Yes, I mean, I've got anything up to the size of an iPhone 6 will fit in it. So this is my little iPhone cover with poppers. You can see I'm in popper heaven at the moment. That's mine that I made first of all. And I have sold a few of these in the shop already. So I've added in a couple of these in that update. So there'll be 4 bags and 2 iPhone phone homes.
And when is your next standard Etsy shop
I'm
update
not
after
sure
that?
yet. It'll probably be
next.
the weekend after. Yeah.
So that's the first week in July.
Probably is, yeah.
But you'll update the Etsy shop anyway
Yes,
to
and
tell people.
that's the fabric I've used for the 2 phone coats. I don't know why I'm even saying this, because this will go out on Friday and I will have already done it.
Yeah.
There we go. But you'll know that is what I'm generally going to do every month anyway.
And also, while we're talking about the patrons, last look at the patrons is thanks to all the amazing patrons, we are every episode now embracing more and more new technologies and new production techniques, which we're all part of our first milestone, which we're well on the way to.
It's like bubble wrap.
So this episode, we've seen the introduction of lapel mics on the Out and About, which has got rid of the issue with wind noise, which is super cool and it works better than I expected. And we also are filming on a whole new camera app. And actually, what I'll do is I'll do a behind the scenes and post that in the group so people can find out all about that later on this week. What else is on my needles?
What else is on your needles?
It is a handbrake.
So
this is my Brit-along, because we designed it, and it's also my favourite colour, because I absolutely love.
And it's British yarn.
Yes,
As well.
I absolutely love greens.
You do.
As I said the other day when we were going out, and I know a few people have said this before when we've posted pictures and things about the greens in this country. If you're not from this country, I'm sure there's other countries in Europe which are just the same as here, but there's so many shades of green.
There are.
It's just completely. I wouldn't like to try and paint a picture actually with.
No, I think green is one of the most difficult things to capture, because you can get yellow greens, can't you? You can get brown greens, you can get red greens.
None of that yet.
Yeah.
There are them.
There
I can see some in there.
there's, yeah.
This yarn's just amazing. What I love about this yarn is what we were referring to a second ago. I mean, first and foremost, it's handspun, which I absolutely love. But secondly, as well, it's the only yarn that I ever knit with where you get wafts of lovely smells.
Yeah, Deb uses something in her.
It's secret.
Yeah, it smells lovely.
It must be. Was that a decision, Deb, that you made because you thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wash it in something that's going to smell great, so people are going to get these lovely smells? Or is this just fate? Was it? Did you just pick a wash which has these great smells on it? And because for me, that's one of the things that's drawn me to her yarns.
I wonder if she, because Deb now does these knitter soaps, don't you, Deb? And I wonder if she uses those, because I've never used those.
Right.
I've only ever used like the the liquid wool washers.
Right. Well, it is. It's a handbrake cowl, and it is a handbrake cowl 4K. And it has a.
Is it?
Yes. And it
I didn't know it was for me. All right.
And it has a twisted rib, because I'm so in love with the twisted rib, and actually I do think that will look great with it.
Yeah.
So,
Looks lovely in handspun as well.
if you've got the handbrake cowl you're about to cast one on, maybe have a think about doing a twisted rib instead of
the garter.
the garter. Yeah, we'll see, won't we? Though, as it progresses, if it blends in really nicely, I'm sure
It'll just look like a hat.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's no reason it wouldn't. Look at us with our matching.
Yeah. These are brother and sister hats.
I thought they were girlfriend boyfriend.
The girlfriend boyfriend. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because that would be a bit weird. Yeah. So these are. We have to give them names. Oh, tricky.
Naming a hat.
Yeah, Bridie would.
She would. Yeah. She names everything.
That's a nice bag. Where's that from?
Made it.
You did not.
Well, I did.
You made that.
Yes.
Wow, that's really great.
I showed it a couple of times ago.
It just
Couple of
didn't. It
podcasts
didn't
ago.
sink in.
I might change it and put poppers on it.
I think that works really well with the drawstring.
Yeah, it's quite poofy because it's quilted. I showed this, if you remember, a couple of podcasts ago.
I love the lollies.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed making it, and I might actually, I might make some like this, popper style, and because you can see this one's drawstring, but I think it would work really well as a popper bag because it's it's quilted.
It's popper, that bag.
It's popper. I love it because it's got lots of my favourite fabrics in. I just love it. It's really cute. But in here, am I ready?
Oh, yes, please.
I didn't show this last time because I'd done absolutely zero on it, but I have done a little bit more on it since. And it's my farmhouse shawl by Cabin 4, and I got this pattern out this morning and realised that it didn't print the picture on the front because I was running out of ink at the time. But you can see more or less what it is on the pattern anyway.
They're always running out of ink.
I know, isn't ink expensive?
Look.
What is that all about? Somebody's making a fortune on ink.
Is there anyone out there who can recommend a printer which works?
Well, every printer we've ever had has caused us problems. This last one stopped Wi-Fiing, didn't it? This one now, you had to put a wire in.
3 months of oh yeah, that's okay. But I wonder if that's just the...
I think it's the nature of them, because every one we've ever had, and we spend a fair bit of money on them. We're not,
If anyone has had a wonderful experience with a printer, I've got to say as well, of all the devices and things that you can buy, I get more excited about a new washer than a printer.
I could do with a new washer. And I do try and print less and less, just because I bought a full set of colours and the black as well with it the other day, and it was like £40.
And is it the same the world over? Please tell us.
It's expensive everywhere.
Everywhere in the world are printers just a total pain.
Is everybody frustrated with printers?
Is everyone getting nailed on costs for cartridges?
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Right, this is my farmhouse shawl. If you remember, I cast this on my birthday. And I'm up to here now. I have done a bit more. I think I was just up to like there before. So I've done a couple more repeats. Really simple shawl. And you get to a certain point, I think you do 5 of these kind of repeats. And then you do a whole big garter section. And then I'm not sure if there's anything after that. If there's another stocking stitch section, I'm not fully sure. And then you've got tassels at the end. and I'm using a contrast yarn. I don't think I had this last time. Did I have this last time to show you? I can't remember. But you put like one strand of a contrast in with the main colour for the tassels, and I'm going to be using this kind of heathered purpley sort of colour. So it's a super simple knit. I've just been knitting on that many other things that this has kind of taken a back seat, if you like, but I'm up to here now. So I've done a fair bit. And I'm just using Cascade 220, and that colourway is Soft Sage, although it doesn't look very sagey, I know. Looks more grey to me, but Soft Sage, and I can't remember what colourway that one is. But just, yeah, what are you laughing at? You've got so many projects.
I've reached the stage of knitting when I see a bag and I think, oh, what project's in there? I had no idea what was in there.
Yeah, well, I'm like that all the time, so.
Isn't it great though?
And I'm using...
oh, what's going to come out?
It's 5.5 mils, which is what the pattern calls for. I never swatch with shawls, I've got to be honest. And, you know, there's obviously I put gauges on patterns that I write, because I know a lot of people do a gauge swatch, but I just never do. And I checked my gauge when I'd knit, because I just think, well, you can knit this little triangle bit, can't you? And check your gauge on that bit. And that's what I did. And it was spot on, it was, you know. And I think, to be honest, even if it's a tiny bit out, when it's a shawl, I don't think it matters quite so much as like a jumper or a cardigan. I tend not to stress about gauge. So I need to get back to that, because I do really want to have that shawl. I really, really want it. So, do you know when you want, you know, you just think, oh, I wish I'd finished knitting it because I really want that shawl. So I will get back to it. And I think I'm going to do some of these bags in the popper bags with these, you know, with the, I don't know what you call that. I suppose I have quilted it, because what I did is I sewed all the pieces together, you know, like you do, wrong sides and everything, and then I top sewed down these bits. So I'm not sure if that's a particular quilting method. I've never really done quilting, but that's what I just thought I'd do. So I don't know if that's an official thing or not, but I think it worked really well. It did give that kind of quilted effect without it being too tricky, because I've never done all that freehand quilting at all, you know. I've no clue about that, but I really enjoyed doing that, so I might do some of those. That's that one.
Is it me?
Tink Hickman is Debbie's knitting one of these. I'm not sure if she's finished or not. She's near to finished if she hasn't, and hers is super pretty.
Is it me?
Yeah,
it's me. Continuation of the handbrake theme. It is the handbrake scarf. Here it is. It's so long now I can't even fit it on the screen that way. I have to hold it that way. I've never had to do that before on a podcast. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Let me hold it out for you, and then you can...
It's going to look great when it's blocked.
It is.
This is the uncommon thread.
It's the special edition BFL DK. And somebody asked me actually on the forums, I'm sorry, I can't remember which one. She asked me about the handbrake scarf and if anybody had knit one. And I said the only person I know is that you were knitting one.
I didn't know this.
Oh, right. She wanted to knit one, but she was worried about...
Yeah, because I challenged people to join me in a scarf along. I wonder.
I can't remember whether it was a private Ravelry message or whether it was in a forum. I'm so sorry.
If it was you, PM me.
If it was you, well, I said she was worried about the edges rolling, because she knit a scarf before and the edges rolled. And I think it was her husband she was knitting them for said he didn't like those edges rolling. So I did say this one's got a garter edge, and whilst it is rolling now, I'm hoping that when it's blocked that won't roll, but I guess only time will tell. But, you know, you could knit a deeper garter edge, but I think even then, if it's going to roll, I think it might, you know, it might still. But as I'm flattening it out here now on the table, I know you can't see.
It holds.
It holds on the table. So I'm hoping when, you know, it's had a nice soak and a lovely, and I'll pin it as well, then, you know, wool does have that that memory, doesn't it? So hopefully it will stay where it's supposed to stay. We should measure it. I've not got a tape measure on me.
It's a good length.
Yeah, I would.
And it's great fun.
Yeah.
It is a great fun knit, and I've been so caught up with other things, I've hardly done anything on this.
No, you haven't.
It's even nice from the back, actually, that.
It does look nice on the
Yeah.
back. You're right.
Show the back.
Yeah, it does look nice on the back.
It's like double knitting.
Can you see? You can see it. Yeah, it does look lovely on the back. Which for a scarf is nice, isn't it? Because you will inevitably have some at the front and some at the back. Yeah. Right, there we go.
There's been so many times on this podcast where you've had to do 2 or 3 at the end.
True.
Not this time.
True.
Yes.
Barney McGrew.
Do you know what Trumpton is?
Oh,
Look, nearly.
so
close to the
I'm going to have
end.
to wind the other skein for you, aren't I? On Sunday, I suddenly thought I wanted to do something else for the knit-alongs as well. I wanted to have a couple of things on the go. And I've got my blanket, which I'm doing a row of. I've got those socks that I showed you, the pink socks, and I kind of wanted to do something else as well. And because I'm loving that farmhouse shawl, I just love the idea of having, because at night, you know, when I have a shower, I put my pyjamas on, I've got like this couple of house cardigans that I sort of put on. I'm not a dressing gown person at all, I never have been really. But I wear these couple of cardigans, not hand knits or anything. And I thought, it'd be nice to have a couple of shawls just to sort of wrap around my shoulders, you know, that'd be lovely. And I thought, I'll start another DK weight shawl. A nice big one. And I was thinking of doing the campside. The thing that stops me doing the campside, and I know people are going to say I'm stupid for this, is I don't like charts. I can read charts, I can do it, I just don't like them. And I think it's just because when I learnt to knit, you know, my mum wouldn't know what a chart was, you know, patterns were all written out in, you know, in written form, in, you know, actual written, you know, line by line. And it's just something that's never sunk in with me, and I've just never enjoyed. And the times that I have knit stuff from charts, I've actually written out the pattern.
I got to say as well, from
I just don't.
when I look at them, it looks too much like hard work.
Yeah.
We spend,
I want
life
to just,
is full of spreadsheets.
Yeah, and I think, you know, for some people they love it because their brain works in that way where a chart makes absolute sense to them. But for me, I much prefer a written pattern. So that's what's putting me off the campside. So if anybody out there has written out the campside, let me know. What I thought I would try is, I thought, you know what, I'm going to knit my sock knitter shawl, but I'm just going to use a solid DK weight and just see what it looks like, just for the fun of it. And actually, it's working out really well. So what I'm using as well, I really wanted to use this yarn that lovely Zena sent me for my birthday. If you remember, she sent me 2 skeins of John Arbon, knit by numbers. It's their merino double knit, and because it's knit by numbers, they don't have colourway names, they are all numbers, and this one is 28. And within the range of like the colours, so like blues, purples, yellows, whatever, they have, I think, 6 shades of each. So if you were knitting, for example, you know, like with this, which has got a, you know, my shawl's got like a different contrast border, I thought when I get to that point, I might order myself another skein of it, but in a shade darker or lighter, whatever I think, you know, for the ruffle. So this is the colour I've got. That's pretty much, it's slightly more, that looks a bit red purple on there. It's not, it's more of a bluey purple. And I've heard people, and Zena has spoke about this yarn a few times. She's knitting a beautiful turquoise cardigan in it at the minute, and she spoke about this yarn, saying how fantastic it is. And it's quite an unassuming looking yarn in the skein, you know. But oh my goodness, I said to you the other night, it's absolutely fantastic. So this is where I'm up to, look. So this is just my sock knitted shawl pattern, but I'm knitting it in this DK weight, and this is it's not superwash. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I just presumed it was superwash. I don't know why I presumed that. But then when I went to look at it, it does say hand wash only. So it's not superwash, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Right.
Because I do like a woolly wool, you know, a proper wool. And I think this is why this yarn is so nice, because it hasn't had that processing that they do to make it superwash. It's just absolutely gorgeous, this yarn. And it's not a solid. It's more, it's got like a heathery. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not got that huge saturation of dye. You know, some yarns, aren't they, are very, very saturated colour, which is beautiful. But this one is definitely heathery. I hope you can see that. And it's so lovely I cannot tell you how lovely this yarn is to knit with. I honestly didn't expect it to, just from looking at, like I said, just from looking at it in the skein, it's lovely. But I really recommend that you go out and if you can get some of this yarn. I went onto their website yesterday and I was looking on the iPad, and maybe this was the problem, but I couldn't see all the colour shades. It kind of indicated they were all below, but I couldn't see them. So I'm going to have a look on the PC. Maybe it was just my iPad or something.
Yeah.
Because sometimes some websites don't work, do they? Like that on the iPad. Because I want to get some more, because it's just absolutely fabulous. It's so soft, and it kind of feels like it's putting moisturiser onto your hand. It's got to be the lanolin that's still in there, because it hasn't been processed for superwash.
Yeah.
It's really, really fantastic. So Zena, I can't thank you enough. It's just an absolute joy to knit with. So there am I up to. I've got 2 of these skeins, and they're generous. It's 250 metres, which is 273 yards, and I'm using a 4mm needle because I did want a nice squishy fabric. I didn't want it to be too airy. So I've got 500 metres, which should be absolutely plenty to make a lovely big shawl. And then, like I said, I think I'm going to buy another colour for the ruffle, maybe a shade darker, 2 shades darker maybe. So it's fantastic, I love it. So
And you're all done.
Zena Zena is amazing, as we know.
So that's all what's on your needles?
I think that's
excellent.
Plenty, isn't it?
I think it's time to go and have a look around Markenfield Hall. Do you?
Cool, I do.
Yes. So we're at the moment experimenting with lots of different ways of filming, and one of the things that has been a real learning curve for me is white balance. And it's a thing that you can alter, which either makes pictures light or makes pictures dark. So over the course of this episode, we've tried a few different approaches, and hopefully they all look okay. But we are in the process of just upgrading all the production techniques in line with milestone number 1 on our Patreon campaign, so that when we hit that milestone, we're already absolutely flying with all those things. So yeah, hopefully, because I've not finished editing this next bit yet.
It smelt really lovely in there as well. They had wood fire, wood fire going. Oh, it smelt absolutely amazing. It really did.
Well, I think Sue Brown is trying to invent smell-o-vision.
Sue, you really needed it in there. It just was fabulous, and they had an old-fashioned...
Cara suggested I scratch my screen and sniff it, but it didn't work, Cara, I'm afraid. Cara. Sorry. You think that maybe there could be a way? That would be so cool if you could take a picture somewhere and it could capture a bit of the smells, and then at least that would be so cool to bring pictures to life.
Yeah.
Although I wouldn't fancy those cinemas where you go, and do you remember we saw that on the TV?
And they squirt stuff.
Yeah, they squirt stuff and smells and all sorts. Very weird. So let's go and check out Markenfield Hall.
Welcome back to Favourite Places to Knit. Now, stately homes come in all shapes and sizes. Many of us have a picture in our minds that's very similar to Chatsworth. What we're going to do over the next 3 episodes is take you to 3 different types of stately home. We're going to go to the small and romantic, the medium-sized and fortified, and the large Chatsworth-esque type homes. We're going to start this episode though at Markenfield Hall, which is where we are right now. You can see it behind me there. It's really small but unbelievably romantic, with an amazing story. It was built by the Lebret family in about 1150. Now they took the name Markenfield, hence the name Markenfield Hall, and the first part of the hall that was built was the Great Hall, which is right behind me. Now the Great Hall had permission to crenellate. Now crenellations are what you see on the top there. It's the fortifications, and that happened in 1310. It really grew up from there. The houses then grew round a courtyard, and now it is what we see today.
The first building that we see as we walk under the Tudor gatehouse, built in the 1500s, is the Great Hall, there in front of us. Now the Great Hall was the heart of any medieval home. You entertained there, you ate there, you lived there, and even in some houses you slept there as well. So the whole house would live within that medieval hall. In the centre of the hall there was normally a fire that was used for warmth, used to cook on, and also for light. Now the hall at Markenfield is the oldest part of the house. It's absolutely stunning to be able to look at those walls there, which are medieval, built in 1150 by Canon John de Markenfield. The fireplace, as Kay said on the day, looked just perfect for Christmas, and you can imagine over the years the conversations that have taken place within this unbelievable room. The walls, as we see, are pretty much untreated, and that's because the hall is really an untouched glimpse into our history. It just hasn't been developed. They've been really clever in how they've brought the hall back to life. St Michael the Archangel Chapel was built in 1310. It was a Catholic chapel, and this was a fiercely Catholic house. There was a little doorway, a little slit, where the people who owned Markenfield Hall, that was the doorway there. It was much smaller when it was initially built. That was actually extended. It was opened out, and that was so that they could see through and listen to Mass without actually having to go in and sit within the congregation. Up there we see the banner of the 5 wounds of Christ, which we're going to talk about a little bit more later on. That's actually a replica, but it's a very old replica. But the chapel is literally next door to the Great Hall, so you could walk from the warmth of your fire straight into the chapel, hear Mass, and then back out you go.
Another great view of the house actually here, I think. Now, the house, as we know, was owned by the Markenfields, and it was a fiercely Catholic house. At the time of the dissolution of the monasteries, they got involved in what we spoke about it's 4 or 5 episodes ago, the Pilgrimage of Grace. They were actually related through marriage to Robert Aske, who led the Pilgrimage of Grace. Now, they supported it, but they luckily got away without any punishment from the king after they were involved with that. It was different, though, some years later. Sir Thomas Markenfield went on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem, and he came back all passionate about the true faith that they believed was Catholicism. Now, Elizabeth I was on the throne at the time, obviously Church of England, the new faith that her dad had set up, and they decided, after Mary Queen of Scots came out of Scotland, she was forced out of Scotland after marrying or trying to marry someone called Lord Darnley. She came to seek refuge with her cousin, Elizabeth I. Now, Mary Queen of Scots was Catholic. Sir Thomas Markenfield and other people like Sir Thomas felt that she would make a better queen than Elizabeth. They felt that if Mary was on the throne, they would be able to return to Catholicism. So they started the Rising of the North.
I can absolutely imagine Sir Richard Norton and Sir Thomas Markinfield sat in front of this fire discussing the rising of the North. It's unbelievable to be in a space which was the home to discussions which really shaped the future of our country. Now, on November the 20th, 1569, Sir Thomas Markinfield and Sir Richard Norton came into the chapel and they heard their final mass. It was a very small, intimate mass, and it was their last one at their family home. They heard mass within the chapel. They then took down the banner above and they made their way outside to their men.
Thomas Markinfield, after hearing mass in the church, processed out into the courtyard here to his awaiting men. He came out holding the banner of the 5 wounds of Christ. He put it up on a pole and he led his men out to Ripon to hear mass and then down to meet the armies of Queen Elizabeth I. Bryony is now trying to do an impression of that, spoiling this solemn moment. Come and stand next to me, B. So off he went with his uncle Richard Norton to fight, or at least they thought they were going to fight in the rising of the North. Unfortunately, whilst they were passionately led, they weren't particularly well planned, and it resulted in them being completely routed. Sir Thomas Markinfield fled to Belgium, where he died actually in abject poverty, whereas Richard Norton was unfortunately, he was shot in the process of being arrested. And here endeth, a really sad time for Markinfield Hall.
In 1569, after the crushing of the rising of the North, the house became a farm. Thomas Egerton had bought the house from Elizabeth I, and Thomas had no interest in living here. His life was in the south of England, and he wanted to use Markinfield Hall as a source of income. So outside of Markinfield Hall, we see centuries of farm buildings that have grown up over the course of time. It's actually still a farm to this day. So Thomas Egerton, he tenanted this as a farm, but one man was not happy about that.
In 1771, Fletcher Norton lived not far away. He was an MP, a very successful MP. The house had been owned for the last 200 years by Thomas Egerton, who bought it from Elizabeth I. Now Fletcher Norton was a relative of Richard Norton, Thomas Markinfield's uncle, who had died in the rising of the North. Fletcher wanted to get the house back into Markinfield hands effectively, as the Markinfields had died without issue, so they had no son or daughter as an heir. So Fletcher Norton bought the house in 1771, and that has started then a run of Nortons who own the house, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So the house that was built by the Markinfields, the Lebrett's, back in 1150, now in 2015 is back in the hands of the Nortons. I think that's a great way to finish our story here at Markinfield.
Oh, that's lovely. It is a lovely place.
I really liked it.
And I have to say,
I could have lived there.
and that's the difference. And that picks up beautifully, I think, on what I said at the start of that segment, which is there are different types of stately home in this country. And that is a stately home that has an estate. The estate, the medieval estate wall is still surrounding that estate. And to go to somewhere like that after visiting somewhere like Chatsworth,
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
it has an unassuming charm rather than a smack you across the face with a...
The thing, yeah, no, it's true. And the thing that got me the most is that there's a moat, a real moat. You know, that's been there since 1200 or whatever it was.
Well, longer than
And
that.
the walk that you go all the way around, goes all the way around the moat. It's not very big, you know, it takes you
It's
20
a home.
minutes to walk around, really, but it's beautiful.
It is a home that you could feasibly manage.
Oh, you could easily, and they do, obviously they still live there, and it clearly is a home, you know. You walk in and there's a coat stand and it's got all their coats on, and there's a utility room at the back. I mean, you will have seen all this, where that, you know, they obviously, that's where they do their washing, and it was very, very homey.
So I think, and I hope you agree, it's a perfect start to the trio of visits, and we'll end with a place. The next place we're going to go to is, there's an awful lot of castle type homes that have become stately homes. So the next place we're going to go is like that, but then we're going to end, and it's going to be a little while actually before we get to do the third visit, because we've got coming up that I can't even find the words because I'm so excited. We have our Roman holiday extravaganza coming up, which will actually spread, the out and abouts will spread over 2 episodes. And so it will be into August before we get to go to Castle Howard. Now, Castle Howard is an amazing place because that's where they filmed Brideshead Revisited. And if you haven't seen that, and you like things like Downton, and if you like Pride and Prejudice, it's definitely the one I would recommend that you watch. It's the one with Anthony Andrews and Jeremy Irons.
The original one.
Yes. The film is great, but also, and is it Benedict Cumberbatch in the film?
I haven't seen any of them, the series or the film, nothing.
Oh, well,
we
maybe need to rectify that.
Well, yeah, because I'm tired of watching the stuff we've been watching. We'll talk about that. And I said to you...
Well, we'll get Brideshead Revisited.
We'll do, because I think that'll be nice.
Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds like a plan. It's time for me to ask someone what's on their needles. I was so excited to take you to Markenfield Hall, I decided to wait until now to ask someone. And yeah, I'm excited to ask this person actually what's on their needles. This person was unbelievably generous to all of you guys. You may well have noticed in the Brit-along thread that someone has posted a discount voucher for their designs.
Oh, I know who it is now.
We always have a bit of a back and forth with regards to uploading things to YouTube, because it is the biggest challenge I think anyone has. Someone else was talking about that recently. It might have been Mina.
Mina just struggled. She just uploaded an episode this morning, and she said, like, finally, after 15 hours, it uploaded, and we know entirely what you mean, Mina. You know, it's just horrendous.
Is Sockmatician Nathan, thank you so much for your discount voucher, which you have gladly shared with everyone in the Brit-along thread. And I'm really desperate to know. What will it be? What double knitting masterpiece? What enormous...
I've never done it. It kind of intimidates me, Nathan. I know, excuse me, I know you will just say, just have a go, but it does kind of intimidate me. But he's done some fantastic stuff.
And I know that I think it's Diana Lovett who is knitting the Remember cowl,
yes.
And I'm sure that there will be some other projects appearing.
The one with the poppies.
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes me think of Ploppy, sir. On Blackadder.
Blackadder.
There's a great episode of Blackadder. You must watch that. So Nathan, please come and share with us what is on your needles in the What's on Your Needles thread in the Big Reviews forum. Thank you very much. It's time to find out what's off your needles, Kay Jones.
Oh, well, I was hoping for 3 things, but it's just the 2.
Which is perfect.
Is it?
It is.
Ah, cool. The first thing is, I'd almost done these the last time. Had I almost done these? I think I had. I knit this pair of socks to show as a demonstration for a tutorial that I've done for the patrons group. But I finished the socks. So there they are. And I knit these in...
And isn't it lucky you finished those socks?
Yeah, because I keep getting holes in all my socks.
Last episode,
do you know, last episode when I showed those socks, the bullfinch colourway, and I said, oh look, they've worn really well. There was a great big hole in the other sock.
Imagine if she pulled that one off and gone, oh, look
Can
at
you
this.
imagine? Because you said to me, I was laid down there in the cupboard and you went,
What's that on your sock?
what's that on your sock? Massive hole.
Literally
in the bottom
half
of
an
the
hour
sock.
after we finished filming
Honestly,
the last
I couldn't
episode.
believe it. I was like, oh,
Stunning.
that's my fault for saying, haven't these worn well?
In fact.
And then I've had a couple of other pairs as well that have gone through.
But as Kay and I established before we started filming today, if socks didn't wear through, there'd be no reason to knit anymore.
To carry on knitting them, and I've kept them all. Obviously, they're in a pile, all the ones that I've got holes in. I thought, you know, I could darn them, but then I just kind of think life's too short for me at the minute to sit darning socks when I'm happier knitting socks. So I shall keep them, and I thought I'll try and think of a use for them. And a few months ago, I made Bryony a sock monkey out of a commercial sock. I don't know whether I ever showed it on the podcast. I probably didn't. And I thought to myself, I wonder if I could make them with hand knit socks. You know, the sock monkeys, you know, that are sewn up on the machine. So I might have a go at that at some point. So yeah, these socks are West Yorkshire Spinners, Air Valley Aran. And I think the colourway might have been Crocus, but I could be totally wrong. It should be in my Ravelry notes. So they're all finished. And I think I'll save these for our holiday and take them away as like my pyjama socks to wear in the evening. Because I only wear them for a couple of hours at night, you know, so they'll go the week. And we were just wearing them every night in my PJs. So yeah, they worked out really well.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
I love them.
Yeah.
Can I have them?
Super quick. No, they won't fit you.
Oh.
Really, really quick. You know, I really recommend knitting Aran weight socks as your first sock.
With a heel
you know,
flap and gusset.
Well, of course. I'm sorry, but I don't know that I'll ever change to any other.
Speaking
heel.
of, what is it? It's not a mission to get people knitting the heel. It's a passion.
It is, well,
Speaking of having a passion for something,
it's just my preferred way, you know.
I think we should start a passion for real tea.
Oh, right. You know, a lot of podcasters, as you all know, will tell you what they're drinking and what's in their teacup. And I know everybody's really interested in that. And we never do that. And it's only because I have tried lots of the... I don't even know that I would call them teas.
They're
if I'm totally
infusions.
honest. Yeah, all this sort of...
That's what they say in the packages.
Some of them do say tea, some of them are green tea, and they are
Right.
actual tea, but quite a lot of them don't actually even have tea in. They're kind of fruit infusions and herbal infusions and all this, you know, all the ones that I'm talking about. And I've tried lots of them. We really have, haven't we? Tried lots of them.
Yeah, when I was having chemo in particular,
Yeah.
I couldn't. Why did I not want to drink tea?
You didn't want it, I don't know, I think it was the milk. You didn't like the clagginess
Right.
sort of thing. There was something about it that...
And I also had to drink lots of stuff. And
They said plain water is not good for you because it flushes out all of the good.
minerals.
Yeah, it flushes out all your minerals if you just drink plain lots and lots of the amount of water he was having to drink. So I was trying to find lots of different things for him to drink that just made it a bit more enjoyable because it was so boring. You drinking all that water.
And we got some of the tea pig stuff, and we spent some real money on certain
Yeah, we
things.
got all sorts.
Something that struck me was these things smell great.
Yeah, and lots of people have said this. Knitting Den in particular has said they smell fantastic, but then the taste, it's not reflected in the smell, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I've tried lots of different ones. I've tried fruity ones, we've tried gingery ones, we've tried the kind of throat soothing ones, lots and lots of them. And honestly, hand on heart, I don't know that I've loved really any of them.
So let's talk about what's in our cup.
Well, what I've got in my cup, which is my lovely sunny California mug from my wonderful friend Sally, and I'd show you the inside colour, there you go, but it's got tea in.
Yeah, and that one then.
And it's just peppermint tea.
We drink a
We
lot
drink
of peppermint
a
tea.
lot of peppermint tea. And I have ongoing issues with irritable bowel constantly. It's part of the whole stress and anxiety thing. So I just try.
But you've always had.
I've
that
always
through your
had
whole life, haven't
irritable bowel, bouts of it from being, you know, fairly young. So I just try and keep on top of it, and I drink lots and lots of peppermint tea. We both do, really, don't we?
you? Yes.
I tend to have, what I do first thing in the morning is I have a pot of real tea, as I call it.
And what is that tea?
It's just, I'm drinking Twinings at the minute. Twinings breakfast tea, I believe it is. But I also bought some from Chatsworth, which is excellent. Just their own version of a breakfast tea. It's just a strong, it might be Assam or whatever. But it's just what I would call real tea. So I have a pot in the morning and I have 2 cups, first thing, don't I? From the pot. And then I'll have a coffee about 10 o'clock, and then I won't have any more caffeine through the rest of the day. And that seems to suit my system. If I just have my caffeine first off, it gets me going and I don't feel like I need any after that. So after that, I'll drink peppermint, or sometimes you've got a Red Bush Earl Grey that's caffeine free.
Yeah, naturally caffeine.
And I'll have that.
Yeah.
I do like Earl Grey. But generally speaking, the reason we don't talk about what's in our mug is because it's not very interesting, because it's always the same, really.
It is. We also feel very passionately about what we drink.
Well, I do, and...
Because I think I was about 7 or 8 years
have
old
a little sip.
when I was given my first cup of tea.
I was too. We used to have really milky tea with
probably
lots
my
of
granny.
sugar in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And I don't think I liked it for at least a year.
No.
You have to develop a taste for real tea, I
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing with me, where I differ from Kay, is I stopped drinking real tea.
Yeah, you did.
Well, it's not the right terminology, is it? Because Red Bush is tea.
Yeah, it's just a different...
I stopped drinking...
Well, is it tea though?
It is.
It? But it's not. It's a particular bush that grows in
It's a leaf.
Africa, isn't it?
It's a dried leaf.
So, but is it tea? Is that plant a tea plant? It might not be. You see, I think tea, the word tea has become a word that covers a whole range of things.
That's more tea than a blackcurrant and pomegranate infusion.
Yeah, you're right. But to me, for something to be called tea, and I said peppermint tea, and actually there's no tea in that, it's peppermint leaves, isn't it? And this is what I kind of drive myself mad about, because tea is an actual plant.
Yeah.
And I think you can only call it tea if it is actually from that plant, because you wouldn't call something coffee if it wasn't coffee. But because there's all these different things you can get now, they've been grouped under the terms tea, I think. And sometimes sometimes they're green teas that have got extra flavours in, and sometimes they're not. So
the reason why I stopped drinking tea was because when Kay was pregnant with Bryony, you wanted to cut caffeine out.
Yeah.
And you found Red Bush.
Yeah.
And you knew it was naturally caffeine free, and you thought that would be a nice thing to drink. You had 1 cup and absolutely despised it.
Didn't like it at all.
I had 1 cup. I hated it too, but because I have Yorkshire roots like Kay, I couldn't bring myself to put them in the bin. So I drank them all, and by the time I'd finished a box, I've never drunk another cup of real tea since.
No.
And I tell you why. The reason is real tea to me tastes bitter, and that's the
it's
tannins.
the tannins.
I don't like tannins. I like a nice clean taste. So I drink Red Bush tea and I drink Red Bush Earl Grey. And I have peppermint, and I really like Red Bush Earl Grey with lemon.
With lemon, you like that as well, yeah.
And that is what I drink. So none of that has caffeine in it. The only thing that I have that has caffeine in it is coffee. And I have a flat white on a morning, and sometimes I have a single or double espresso on an afternoon.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So I drink much, much less caffeine than I have ever done my whole life. I used to have cups of tea after cups of tea, I'd probably drink 8 or 9 cups of tea a day. But, like I said, now I just have the 2 cups of tea in the morning and a cup of coffee, and that's it.
And if I want a fruity drink that is warm and refreshing,
I have hot cordial.
I have, like Kay, a hot cordial.
And when I say cordial, I mean like Robin's squash. We would call it squash when I was little. But they're sort of
It's better than that now.
cordials. And in the winter, when I want something fruity, I just have, boiling water with some cordial in it, and it's lovely.
It is lovely. Can I have it?
Do I have to take
No,
it off?
no, leave it on, leave it on.
I really like it.
Could you lower your head so they can see the crown?
It's really chilly today.
Here it is. Here is the most perfect pattern, and what I love is on Instagram I keep seeing people
I'm
getting...
modelling it well.
You are getting bitten by the bug. Someone recently, literally in the last 48 hours, has said, I've just done the first one and I have to do another and I have to do it now.
I love it. I love this hat. I just put it on first thing. Dan, I said, I'm going to try it on because I hadn't tried it on since I'd washed it. I said, oh my goodness, it's so lovely. And it's chilly out there today, which is ridiculous.
It looks well on you.
I love it. Is it nice? Does it match my eyes?
It totally does match your eyes. It's beautiful.
I love it.
So it is the continuation of my Bankhead passion, which will never, ever go away,
I love hats that do this, that cover down to your ears,
And I love hats, as we established last episode, which fit like that.
Yeah.
Because that, to me, looks cute.
There isn't any slouch, however, it's long enough that it covers the back of my neck here. Can you see? It comes right down and right down over my ears, and that is just the perfect hat for me.
That's how I like a hat. I think that looks great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love it, and I'm never taking it off.
What else is off your needles?
I have another pair of socks.
Well, would you
Two pairs of
believe
socks.
it?
I think I deserve some kind of FO medal. This is the ones, I did have them on the go last time. I can't remember.
That reminds me of a fruit bush.
The colourway is called Hellebore, which is it's the Latin name. I suppose they're all Latin names, aren't they? The names for flowers. Is that the Latin name? I don't think that is the Latin name. There probably is one. But it's also called the Christmas rose or the Lenten rose because it flowers at that time of year.
Oh, right.
And it's just, these, honestly, I felt like these have appeared from nowhere. And it's like, did I knit on those? They just went so quick. And honestly, I'm like in awe that I've actually finished them because I didn't seem to knit on them for very long at all. And I think it's the DPNs. I do think they're quicker. And I never would have said this a while ago. I would have always said that Magic Loop were quicker. But they just absolutely flew, and I think they came out absolutely beautiful. And this one did come out slightly different. Can you see at the top, this one kind of pulled a little bit and this one didn't. And I know the reason for that. This was the first one I did. And I hadn't knit on DPNs in 3 years when I did this. This one's looser. My tension is looser on this one. This sock is slightly bigger than this sock. Not anything that would bother me, when I wear them. But when I was comparing them, this one is definitely a little bit bigger, and that'll be why that one's pulled a little bit and that one hasn't. That's the difference in gauge, And I knit on this one day and this another day, and it was different. It's crazy, really. But this is Ladybug Fibres is the yarn. I already told you the colourway. And there's an Etsy shop for Ladybug Fibres. So
The little ladybug.
the little ladybug.
I couldn't help it.
And it's fine. So beautiful. I love them. I haven't worn them yet. I've kind of been saving them. So again, I might save those for my holidays.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So
And that's all of what's off your needles.
it is.
Isn't it? So it's time for me to ask someone what is off their needles. I have wrestled this back off Kay. She's done about 6 months. She's done her stint. It's just come to me in a flash. I
wanted to go, save your own the universe.
I had thought of someone, and I'll maybe save them for next time. But the person who I'd like to ask what's off their needles. So many of you, as we know, so many of you sent me us both, amazing things last year. But this person sent me something that just arrived just at the right time. I was in the need of some sweet snakes. Who else loves those?
I had no idea you were going to say that right then.
What are they called? Those
like
you
jelly
get them here.
snakes.
Yeah.
Jelly snakes.
Sometimes do you just have to have some?
And did it have sugar on the outside, or were they like
No.
jelly?
They were jelly, and they were that.
Oh,
they were that really
natural,
cool. Yeah.
natural.
But also as well, she's been a really good Instagram mate and Ravelry mate, and she's just super cool. I want to know, Erin Game, what's off your needles?
Lovely, Erin.
Come and show me. I really, really want to see what's off your needles. Maybe it's a handbrake.
Maybe.
Who knows? Or maybe it's something completely different.
I know she's knitting a cardigan, I think, at the moment. I saw her on Instagram.
Right. Well, go girl. Because, cardies are cool.
It is a finished object. I'm not saying I knit it, but it's a finished object. If you remember, a few episodes
What do you mean,
ago...
if they remember? Of course they're going to remember the famous knitter that knit the daft blooming, the superb Sif cowl. It was the most amazing thing ever.
Yes. No, you'll all remember a few episodes ago, I said that my mum has always been a prolific knitter. And because her hands are arthritic and she has a lot of back pain and things like this, she's not really knit very much. But she fancied doing some knitting, so she asked me to pick out a pattern. If you remember, I showed a couple of patterns and I sent her some yarn. I bought her some yarn that she likes to knit with. It was do you know those great big balls? I think it was Hayfield was the make. So I sent her those down and some patterns, and she started it, bless her. She started the rib, and then she rang me up and she says, I'm really sorry, I just can't knit this, I can't do it. Just her hands just weren't right. I said, look, don't worry about it. I said, I only sent it you so you had it if you fancied doing it. There's no problem at all. And then she said to me that she'd knit a cardigan a couple of years ago for herself, but it came out a bit small. And did I want it? So I said, yeah, I definitely want it. So last time I was down, I stole it. And she's never worn it, and I've washed it. She'd never even washed it. You know, she tried it on after she knit it and realised it was too small across her chest and just stuck it in a drawer. So here it is, look. Ta-da!
That's lovely.
Look at that. I'll show you the back. Isn't it beautiful? And it's just knitting. I think it does have a bit of wool in it. Look at that dodgy stitch there, I just noticed that. What's that all about? What is that?
Stop it!
Oh, it's just a loose stitch.
You're terrible.
It's just a loose
look at that dodgy stitch there.
It's just a loose stitch. The collar is picked up. She picks up for the collar, and it's folded over and then sewn down. But the button band is as knit as one long piece, just a few stitches wide, and then sewn on. I'll wear it as like a house coat. Like I said, I really wanted something that I could wear as like a house thing. Pockets, it's lovely, isn't it? Don't know what the pattern is, I couldn't tell you. It'll be one from like 1972 or something, I'm pretty sure. Isn't it lovely?
I just had a great idea for a TV programme.
What's that?
You know the Great British Sewing Bee?
Great British Knitting Bee. I know, but things take so long, don't they? It's not like you can say, oh, you've got 2 hours to knit this.
But
It'd be...
yeah, but the beauty of television is you could start someone off at the beginning of the week,
Well,
and it could be edited in such a way you could follow them, as they're doing a bit of knitting. That'd be amazing.
Oh, that didn't look right. No, it's not, is it? It's a bit skew whiff. So, I like it.
It's very nice.
My mum made it, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So, and you know what she does? She's always done this. Whenever she casts on, and she always, I don't think she would even know what a long tail cast on is. She always just uses is it called a knitted on cast on? Do you know where you knit one and then you like go into it, pull a loop, put it back on the needle, put it back like that? It's just a very simple cast on. But on that row going back, when she's cast on, she always then has a row where she knits into the back loop all the way across. And she's always done it because she said it stops any sort of curling. Even when it's a rib, sometimes it can do that, can't it? But if you do a row, she calls it a back stitch row because she's knitting through the back loop. So she'll just go all the way across, knit through the back loop and then start. And it ends up looking like, can you see the ribbon there at the bottom? You can tell she's done something. And that's what it looks like. It doesn't look, I think it looks really neat and tidy. But she's always done that. And she always says to me, oh, have you done a back stitch row? Whenever I start anything, I'm like, no. Oh, you need to do a back stitch row. So that's a good little tip, I think. If you do have problems with your work curling, even for a rib, if you do that,
What's on your bookshelf? Well, Bryony, I've been reading her We take it in turns to read her bedtime stories, and so Bryony's 9, and I have been reading her, and I'm still reading her. Have a guess. What do you think I might be reading her? I think we may already have touched on some of the things I've read her before. I'm reading her An Archaeological Guide to Walking Hadrian's Wall.
Good heavens above.
Do you know what? She tells me when she doesn't like a book.
Yeah, she does, that's true.
So if she's not happy, she'll tell you and she'll get you to move on. So I've been reading her this book, An Archaeological Guide to Walking Hadrian's Wall, and this sounds like just about the stalest book title you could possibly think of. It's on my Kindle, that's why I've not got the full book. You can get the full book, of course. The guy it's MC Bishop is the name of the guy, and he's an archaeologist. But he writes in just the best way. It's really interesting. He points stuff out in an interesting way, not a nerdy archaeologist type way, but it brings to life walking the wall. It's written as a guidebook, so if you, like many thousands of people do every year, and that I really want to do, and I think we both do at some point in our lives, is walk Hadrian's Wall. It's written as if you're doing that. So he literally tells you, turn left here, turn right there. And what he does along the way is he points out all the sites that you can see and then gives you the archaeological facts. For someone who's never going to be able to get there, though, it is a brilliant read because the way he describes it is it's as if you're there. And it does probably take a couple of chapters to sort of get to grips with the type of guy that he is. But once you get to grips with the type of guy he is, I suspect he's a guy maybe in his late 50s, likes to tell a joke, enjoys a pint of beer, enjoys really good food. Once you understand the type of chap he is, you start to understand the way he writes. And if you're interested remotely in Hadrian's Wall or Romans or British history, this is a really good book to read. What's on your bookshelf?
And I've finished the 14th book, I believe it was, in the Number One Ladies Detective series, and I'm now on the 15th, which is the most up-to-date one. I think this one's only just come out, and it's it just carries on being as lovely as they all are. Really, I'm really enjoying it, and it's a nice thing to read as you're falling asleep. There's nothing bad in it. There's no, it's just really nice. It's just a really lovely read. So
what else is on my bookshelf? Well, there's been lots on my bookshelf. And it's unlike me, this, because normally when I start a book, I finish a book. After going back to the Abbeys, I wanted to pick up the Henry VIII book about his wives. So I've spoken about that in previous episodes, and I am still reading that, but I put it down. It is The Last Gunfight, the real story of the shootout at the OK Corral and how it changed the American West. And it's brilliant. It's all about how the American West was formed, but also about how America was formed. And, I was interested to find out that it was the Spanish, wasn't it, who bought there was a Napoleon link. The Spanish sold the Florida states to Napoleon. Napoleon was interested more in Europe and conquering Europe, so he sold the Florida states to, I think it was George Washington. Did I say for 10 million?
it wasn't very much. No, it wasn't. Was it as much?
It was. And we were saying, that's not very much. But then we went...
But that was like way back when.
Yeah.
So it must have been.
So
and I said to you, where would somebody have that sort of money back then?
But I've just read a chapter all about the guy. I think he was called Ed Sheffelin or something or other. And he was a prospector. And he set out into the Arizona desert. And it's just really interesting hearing about prospecting and how that worked. You staked a claim. You then had to go and file papers, and you got a square of land.
Yeah.
And that's where you then...
So you didn't have to pay for that land?
You did, but it wasn't very much.
Right.
And then once you bought that land, you could then effectively set yourself up as a mayor and sell plots of land to other people who wanted to come onto that land and come and prospect.
Right.
So he set up this plot of land and called it Tombstone. And obviously the rest is history. And, you know, around that land that the town was formed.
And it's still there, is it?
As far as I'm aware.
And that's Arizona?
Yeah.
Ask Kim and Sam if Tombstone is near them.
Yeah, totally. You just have.
Oh, I have asked you. Tell us.
I'm so interested as well, because normally when you read books like this, what it does is it just focuses on like the main characters in the book. So, you know, obviously this is talking about the gunfight at the OK Corral, so you would think it would focus just on the characters that were involved in that. Not at all. I mean, I'm just under a quarter of the way in, and it's not really spoken a lot about the Earps. It's only now starting to pick up on the Earps, and you start to find out about, you know, what the real Wyatt Earp was like, not the Wyatt Earp that has been portrayed in the films. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this. The Wall Street Journal said the most thorough account of the gunfight and its circumstances ever published. And what really sold me on it was Sunday Times. The genius of this book is that for all its historical accuracy, and I love anything that's historically accurate, it tells a story as stirring as any Western, and it really does. I think it's through the engagement with people in other parts of the world, through us doing the podcast, that is now making me interested. I'm now finding myself getting really interested as well in French history, particularly French history and the development of the Loire Valley. And the reasons why that developed, why there's so many amazing castles there. Then I was watching a programme the other day on the telly, and it started showing you German castles. And there's that one particular castle I showed you that I love. Any building that's been built in medieval times and is still owned by the same family fascinates me, and the history of that family, and, you know, how they've managed to, you know, hold on to what are stunning buildings. So yeah, I'm reading The Last Gunfight, and the way I'm going, I'll probably be 3/4 of the way through at least next time I see you. So, and what I tend to do now is, and this is really bad of me, but when we go to bookshops, if I see a book that I fancy reading, I take a picture of it, and then I come home and I look for it second-hand.
Yeah, well, this one was a second-hand book, and it's absolutely...
Unlike the other one.
The other one was from a library that you got, wasn't it?
It's just a bit old.
Still in decent condition, but this one is like...
You wouldn't think it had been read.
No.
I love second-hand books. I think I said before, I really feel like books have a soul. They have a story to tell, and nothing worse than seeing a book sat on a shelf. Well, again, I had someone picked out for...
Oh, I love a twisted rib. Look at that. Isn't it pretty?
I had someone picked out for what's on your bookshelf. And then I got a message last night, and it was late. That's when I picked it up. And I've not even properly read the message from this person, but I skim read it, because it was late when I picked it up. I skim read it, and so many of the things that she was telling me just, it made me feel normal. What she did was she sent me a message. She's a cancer survivor. And within that message, she articulated the fears that go through your head every day when you're a cancer survivor. She was saying things like, I know the cancer could come back at any time, but it could do for any of us. So what's the point in me worrying about it? You know, there's no point in me worrying about it. I need to live for today and enjoy today. And all the things that she was saying, it was as if, to an extent, that I'd written this message to me. And it was just great to read. Because, you know, I'm doing so much better. I think we both are. I only said to you the other day how much better you are than at the start of the year.
I think you jinxed it.
Well, I didn't, because at the start of the year, it was not good at all.
No, I was really bad, and I have spoken about that in a previous podcast, and I haven't mentioned it since, because I have been feeling much better. But this past week or so, I've not been very good, and I think it's to do with, you know, some of the stuff that's going on with my family, and I think that's kind of triggered it back off again. But, you know, I am on the whole...
You should read that book again.
Much better. I did pick it up again yesterday, actually, the book I've read before.
That Last to Life.
I did pick it back up again yesterday and just read a couple of pages, just to try and refocus my mind, really. because I wasn't very good at the weekend, and it's really frustrating because these things just hit you out of nowhere, and I just get so mad. I'm like, oh, you know, I've been all right and now I'm not, and I can't even do this, you know, I can't even get in the car and travel for an hour without feeling rubbish, and it's incredibly frustrating. So I'm kind of just reassessing. I've been very busy the past couple of weeks as well. I've been incredibly busy, and I think I've just done too much. But no, you're right, it is since then really. Friday I felt horrible. Saturday I was a bit better, and then Sunday when we went out I didn't feel good at all. So I think it kind of, I think I'm coming out the other end of it again. It's certainly not as severe as it was that first time, but it's all the same feelings and it's all the same symptoms. So I know in my head, you know, what it is. There's nothing different to how I felt before, but it doesn't make it any nicer to go through, you know, any less frustrating. Yeah, I've been great. I really have been, you know, I've been really good. And I think...
Well, less than a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it is literally just the last couple of weeks that I seem to have kind of gone down a little bit.
And you know, the two things are, you know, obviously Dad not being very well,
yeah,
and
my dad's really
going
poorly.
away on that day.
Yeah, and you know, I should know better really, because the thing that seems to trigger me is travelling any sort of great distance. And but saying that, the last times we've been down to Mum and Dad's and the last times we've been out, I've been fine. So I think it was that journey on Thursday, and I think it's because I couldn't knit, because I was sat there, you know, stressed. All these people around me, I can't be doing with crowds as well, and all these people were around me, and it was noisy, you know, and the phone's going and working on the computer. Oh, I was like, oh God. And then the woman who sat next to me fell asleep. So to get off the train, I'm like, oh, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm falling asleep. So I was so riled up, I think, by the end of it. That's definitely, and then you kind of, I think, right, well, I've got to be fine whilst I'm here. And that then stresses you even more because you're forcing your body. Yeah, so lesson learnt.
Anyway,
What's on your bookshelf is Kathleen Kibblehouse.
What a great name.
Yeah, well, she even said that in her message.
I love that name.
She said,
KK.
She said, yes, that is my name. I think it's Sweet Tart 77
Right.
is her Ravelry name. But I mean, it's literally the first interaction I've had with her. But it just, there were so many things that you said that I could just associate with immediately. And I suspect that's the reason why you said them, because you knew that, you know, I would associate with them. I absolutely did. And I will endeavour, I will reply as soon as I can. So thank you so much for your message. And in the meantime, please come and tell us what's on your bookshelf in the What's on Your Bookshelf thread.
Empty bits. And I've just finished off my tea and it was almost cold and it was absolutely fine. That's the other thing with peppermint tea. You can drink it cold. And I have, in the summer, I have actually iced it and it's lovely. So, empty bits, right. I've had a few more prizes for the knit-alongs, so I'll just show you those quickly. The first batch of prizes, they're actually both from people called Tracy. This caused me great confusion at the time because they were both messaging me at the same time. So I'm sorry, Tracy, both Tracys, if I got you a little bit muddled. So the first group of prizes, and there's loads, is from Tracy, and Tracy's Tracy2408 on Ravelry. I'm sure she won't mind me saying. And she sent a whole bunch of things. She doesn't have an Etsy shop or anything like that, but she sent me a couple of bags that she's sewn up, and she did say in a letter, she went, oh, I'm not a great seamstress or anything like that, but they are really cute bags, and I love the fabrics. Look at the cute bag. And she's put a label on them just saying where she got the fabric from. She's saying she bought this one in Walthamstow years ago when she was making clothes for a daughter, but she never got round to it. So she sewed up a little bag. It's really sweet, a little drawstring bag. It reminds me of pyjamas. I think it looks like, pyjama fabric. So there's that one. And then she sent another one with roses on, which is equally as lovely. And this one was made, she said she found the fabric in a charity shop in Cape Town. I mean, my goodness. And she says they can be machine washed as well, which is brilliant. So again, another little drawstring bag. So that's 2 little bags, 2 skeins of yarn. She did say that I could keep the hand spun if I wanted to, which is really super kind. But I think I'm gonna be generous and add it in with the prizes. But the first one she sent is from Lal Bear, and I'm pretty sure that she's not dying any longer or not in existence any longer. And this is, it's BFL, and it's the natural range, so it's just natural coloured BFL, double knit, 225 metres, 100 grams, hand wash only. It's lovely. So it's not super wash, it's hand wash, and it's beautiful. It's just a natural colour. So I think that would make fantastic cowl or hat or mitts or, you know, anything like that. And it's got the lovely sheepy on. There he is. And he's called a blue-faced Leicester because he does have, underneath the white of his face, it does have like a bluey tinge. I don't know if that's coming across. So there's that skein, and then she also sent a skein of her hand spun. I mean, she said on it she hasn't been spinning very long, a year or so, but I think it's lovely. There's 152 metres, and she thinks it's about a DK sport. I think it's about a DK looking at it. And this is Corriedale from wildcraft.co.uk. It's beautiful colours. Can you see all the colours? It's really pretty. It's like rich autumn colours, I would say. Purples and greens, tiny bit of brown. It's mainly purples and greens. But it's really lovely. And again, I think it would make a beautiful hat, fantastic hat. Gosh, it'd make a fantastic Ricky hat. I am obsessed with the Ricky hat, aren't I? But I think it would make a fantastic one. And I mean, Corriedale it's quite a crunchy yarn, I think, but this feels really nice. You know, you can tell it's proper wool, but it's not, doesn't feel scratchy to me. I could wear that as a hat. So, thank you, Tracy. I mean, it's a fabulously generous prize to send us, and she sent me a lovely note as well. And then the other prize from the second Tracy, I'll pop that over there, just keeping things together. This one I did put on Instagram that I'd got this, and I think a lot of people went over and bought something from her shop, which is fantastic. But this is Tracy, who has an Etsy shop called Thimble and Thread Make, all one word, and that's on Etsy. And she sent this lovely butterfly bag as a prize. Fantastic, and it's got polka dots inside. And that's her details of her Etsy shop. I'll just hold that up. I get my finger in the way. Thimble and Thread Make. And she also sent a coupon code for you all. So if you wanted to go and have a look at her shop, the coupon code is BakeryBears10, uppercase, BakeryBears10, all together. And I'm sure a few of you have done that. Yeah, so BakeryBears10, you can get 10% off in her shop. She also sent me the cutest little pouch.
Do you reckon if you put Bakery Bears 100, you get it free?
Get it free. No, I doubt it. She sent me, look at this. She uses a lot of vintage fabrics, which I just love that. And there was another very similar one like this in her shop, and I think it looks like it's the same fabric. And she said it was from, I think it was something like a petticoat, you know, of an old-fashioned dress that she got from Derbyshire, something like that. I remember Derbyshire being in it, and I was like, oh, you know what I'm like with Derbyshire. And then there's little bits of lace you can see, and she's done a bit of embroidery on there. And I think those buttons and the little crosses look like a little face. I don't know if you've done that deliberately, Tracy, but I think it's so cute. So I haven't used this yet. I'm going to use it as a little notions pouch. It's got like a, you know, a vintagey fabric inside. So she sent that for me. I think that's super kind. I love it. So thank you so much, Tracy. So that's the prizes. So as I get more, I'll show you. And then obviously there's the bag as well that I showed before, which is a one-off.
Special edition. Popper special.
Popper
Never
special.
going to be another one of these babies.
And I do, I'm kind of on a
collector's edition.
It is a collector's edition. You know I'm on a Poppers phase at the minute, but I do really like these bags, mainly because they open up so wide like that, and I showed that before. I just love that they open up so wide and you can just see everything that's in there. And then, you know, what I've been doing is I've been getting my project out and then poppering? Have I invented a new word? Is that a word? Poppering? Those ones shut and just leaving like that little gap, you know, and your yarn comes out of there, and it's not a big enough gap for your ball of yarn to come flying out, but it keeps it in there. And you know, I love them. I think they work really well, so I'm really pleased with those. And then there's that one as well. So that's all the prizey things. And then finally, let me pop those over there so that I don't lose them. My last thing is just a couple of little purchases that I've made. And this was, I motivated myself for these purchases. Oh, and that I bought. I'll show you this first. When we were in Fountains Abbey on Sunday, we went into there's a little tiny gift shop there. There is a bigger one, but we just went to this tiny one at the end that we were. And we were looking around and I saw these little bowls, and they were handmade bowls, they're signed on the bottom. And I just thought they were super pretty. And it's only tiny, look at the size of that little bowl. But look inside, can you see? It's got leaves, and I love that blue colour. I think it's so pretty. And there was a little tag on it, and he said that the leaves were made by pushing actual real leaves into the wet clay. And I love that. It's so lovely. And it's only a tiny wee thing. I've no idea what I'm going to do with it. I think I'm just going to keep it on my sewing table.
I suggested use it as a tea thing.
He did. He suggested I use it as like a tea bag.
Because then it would get used every day and it would be looked at every day.
That's true, and I might do that, but then I think it's too nice to put used tea bags in.
But better to have it out and used than
True,
have it
that
and
is
not.
true.
So long as whatever you're going to do with it, so long as it's used, that's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Because otherwise it just becomes a dust collector.
I know, so maybe I will just use it for that. And you're right, then I will look at it every day, and it's a pretty thing to look at.
It's useful then, and it's beautiful.
That's true, yeah.
What's the three things? Useful,
If
beautiful.
it's not, if it's not useful or beautiful? Isn't it only two things, or is there three things? I forget now.
You'll be more correct than me.
I've forgotten. So that's that. And then, it's like a Sarah Hepworth show, I've got to say, Sarah. She was knitting socks out of this yarn recently, and I was like, are you kidding me with that yarn? I have got to get that, you know. Oh. And it was West Yorkshire Spinners again, and I've never seen this colourway, and I even went onto their shop, and I'm like, it's not there? Where did she get it? Is she some kind of... Well, I told her she's a knitting wizard, she clearly is. It must have been a colourway that they did previously and stopped doing, I can only think. But I went hunting and I found some on Cottontail Crafts. I'm pretty sure it was that. Because Pauline asked me where I got it, and then she went and got some. I'm sure it was Cottontail Crafts. It's a UK shop. So it's Air Valley DK, and the colourway was Knickerbocker Glory. So if I just look at that, I mean, it's totally my colours, and it's stripes, and that bit that's showing, can you see the purple bit? It shows as like a patterning, a self-patterning little bit there. But there's all these ice creamy colours. Oh, it's just so lovely. So I might take this away with me and knit them on holiday, because I think it'd just be such a fun thing. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to follow Susan B. Anderson, because why wouldn't I? Because it's like self-patterning down the front of it, I really don't want to break that up this time, so I'm going to pull from the other end to knit the heel, so that then I can keep that self-patterning running down the front of the sock. So that's that one. And then the other is also West Yorkshire Spinners. I mean, what are we like? We must really like this yarn, do you think? we spoke about the blue tit yarn that Dan was knitting with last time, and I said I was going to get the fingering weight. Well, I did, because I wanted to knit socks for Dan. So I got the fingering weight in the blue tit, and then I got a coordinating rate, which I think is cardamom. I can't say that word.
Don't worry. Go
You
for
know
it.
what I
Carry
mean?
on.
It's that colourway, and it matches there is a colour of it within it. It's not the main colour, which I like. It's like an accent, so it matches that. So those are going to be the next socks that I knit for Dan, and I really, really want to cast him a pair on. But I need to get one of these other pairs finished first. I can't really have 3 pairs of needles on the go. 3 pairs of needles on the go? 3 pairs of socks on the go at the same time, so... And that's it.
Cool. So we'll see you in 2 weeks for episode 28, where we'll be going to the rather lovely Raby Castle.
Oh, yeah.
And discovering all about one of the most powerful families in this country, and that's the Nevilles. If you've enjoyed the show and you want to know more about being a patron, you just click on the Patreon link in the show notes. You can get, we do a monthly newsletter now. We do competitions for people, draws that we spoke about last time. Cody won the first draw, and there's tutorials and behind the scenes and discount codes for the Etsy shop and special sales for patrons. And what you're empowering then is for us to keep doing more and doing it even better and better the whole time. And I can't thank the guys who are currently doing that enough, because it is just enabling us to go from strength to strength. If you would like to be a patron, just follow the link in the thing below. And I'm desperate now to start. To start doing the. I want to start the new podcast, the new history podcast. That's one of our milestones.
Oh, right.
So thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
When did we do that before? Thank you. We did that.
I've never done that.
No, we have.
You're dreaming.
I'm not dreaming.
Thank you for watching the Bakery Bears podcast.
And I'm going to have some lunch and then do a bit of sewing.
We will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.